Ahoy there, ye lost souls and curious wanderers. Ye be sailing now on the seas of mystery, where truth and legend dance upon the tide. The winds whisper secrets, the waves carry echoes of the damned, and the stars above be guiding us through the unknown. But beware, these ain't just any waters, and I ain't just any captain.
With a yo-ho-ho and a pint of rum, beware the seas where the phantoms come. From the depths below to the stars up high, it's seas of mystery, oh give it a try.
I be Captain Jeb, cursed to sail these haunted seas and spectral airwaves till the end of time. I faced the devil's grin, heard the wails of the forsaken, and felt the cold hand of fate drag me beneath the waves. Yet here I be. With a battered map and a belly full of rum, I hunt the myths that refuse to die. Ghost ships, sea beasts, and curses older than time itself.
From the depths below to the stars up high, it's seas of mystery, oh give it a try.
So sharpen your wits, stoke the lantern bright, and steel yourself for what lies ahead. The truth be hiding beneath the waves, and I be bound to seek it till the last bell tolls.
There's monsters, treasures, and whispers of doom, fog-shrouded islands where the ghost lights loom. Captain Jeb's laugh cuts through the fear. Onward, ye scallywags, the truth be near.
Now hoist the anchor, trim the sails, and raise the black. The seas of mystery await.
So wrong, beware the seas where the phantoms come. From the depths below to the stars up high, it's seas of mystery, oh give it a try. So hoist the sails and bring your grit. With Captain Jeb, there's no quitting it. The seas are wild, the legends untold. Set course for mystery, be brave, be bold. Yo ho ho, let's set sail tonight with Captain Jeb and his ghostly light.
There's an old tale whispered from one deck to another, from one drunken sailor to the next, about a map, not one drawn on parchment, but on the very sky itself. A map that leads not to land nor treasure, but to something far stranger. Some call it the Lost Star Map, others say it be the Sea of Ghosts. But every sailor who's followed it, well, let's just say their ships be found, but they ain't.
So hoist the sails and bring your grit. With Captain Jeb, there's no quitting it. The seas are wild, the legends unfold.
I heard tell of this map once, from a man who weren't much for telling tall tales. His name was Elias Drake, a cartographer and navigator of the old school. Carried compasses like a priest carries crosses. If it weren't on a chart, he didn't believe in it. But there was one night, one cursed night, when the sea decided he ought to believe in more than what he could measure.
It was 1821, and Elias was aboard the Halcyon, a brig bound for the West Indies. The night was clear, the stars laid out as they should be, steady and bright. But then, something changed. First the wind died, not slowed, not eased, but died. The sea turned to glass, the sails hung lifeless, and the world seemed to hold its breath. And then, the stars moved.
Not the ship, mind ye, the stars. Orion stretched his bow where he never had before. The North Star slid south like a trick of the eye. The heavens rearranged themselves like some invisible hand was redrawing the map of the universe itself.
At first, Elias thought it was exhaustion, maybe too much rum, but then the rest of the crew saw it too. Men dropped to their knees, praying, some cursed. But Elias? He did what he always did. He charted it. pulled out his instruments, measured the distance between the shifting constellations, tried to make sense of what should not be. And that's when he saw it.
A new constellation. One that weren't in any log, any book, any map. A perfect line of 7 stars formed like an arrow, pointing somewhere no man had ever dared to mark. And at the very tip, a star that pulsed. Not like a twinkle, not like the shimmer of heat, but like a heartbeat.
Elias knew what he was seeing, and he knew he shouldn't follow it. But the Halcyon's captain, he was a man of greed, a man who saw signs where there weren't none. That's a path, he said, a path to something, left behind by gods or devils, and I mean to see which it is. So they sailed toward it, into waters unknown, guided by stars that no man had seen before.
3 days passed and the crew grew uneasy. The sea beneath them took on a color they couldn't name. Not blue, not black, not green. The kind of color that don't belong in the world. Birds stopped flying. Even the fish stayed away. And that new constellation, it never left the sky, even as the sun rose.
On the 4th night, the Halcyon found it. Not an island, not land at all, but a place where the sea ended. A great yawning blackness stretched out before them, like the ocean had simply given up being water and turned into something else. The men swore they could see things moving in it, shapes that were too big, too old. And the heartbeat, louder now, calling them in.
Elias begged the captain to turn back, swore on his life, on his soul. Said no man was meant to sail where they were heading. But the captain wouldn't listen, ordered the crew forward.
The next morning, a passing trade ship spotted the Halcyon adrift. No signs of struggle, no damage to the vessel, but the crew? Gone. Every last one. Only thing left behind was Elias's chart, half finished, showing that strange constellation. And a single note scratched in the margin.
We followed the stars, but they were not stars at all. They were eyes.
Elias Drake was never found. His map? It was taken by the Admiralty, locked away, never spoken of again. But some say on certain nights when the wind dies and the sea turns to glass, ye might look up and see that same constellation appearing out of nowhere, pointing to a place that don't exist on any map.
Now, I ain't saying it's true, mind ye, but if ye ever find yourself staring up at the sky and the stars start moving in ways they ought not to, best ye ask yourself one question, mates. Are ye following a map, or is something leading you? Ahoy, me hearties, and welcome back to the ever-mystifying waters of seas of mystery. I be your Captain Jeb Blackwater, and tonight we chart a course through the celestial and the strange, seafarers and star maps, guiding hands of old salts and ancient navigators who sailed not by compass alone, but by the whispers of the night sky. Ye see, long before GPS and radar, men trusted the heavens, but some trusted something else entirely. Now every sailor worth his salt knows the stars be more than just twinkling lights scattered in the heavens. They be signposts, storytellers, ancient watchers that have guided men across the endless blue since time began. The Polynesians, master navigators, mapped the sea with not ink and parchment, but with memory, reading the night sky as if it were the pages of an old book, passed down from the gods themselves. Then there be the Norse, the Vikings, fierce and unrelenting, who sailed by the sunstone, a gift from the gods, some say, that allowed him to see the sun even when the sky were thick with storm. The Templars, aye, they too be rumored to have held maps unlike any seen before, etched with routes following the stars, paths to lands lost to time, and some that perhaps never should have been found. But not all star maps be meant to lead ye home. Some, me friends, lead sailors astray. Ships that vanished without a trace, guided by constellations that weren't there the night before. Men who swore on their very souls that the stars moved, not across the sky as they should, but rearranged, shifting, beckoning them toward waters unseen on any map. And what of the stories, the ones whispered below deck, never meant to leave the lips of those who lived them? The lights that flicker beneath the waves, reflections of stars that shouldn't exist? The celestial patterns that appear only once in a lifetime, marking a passage to places unknown? Tonight, we dive deep into the supernatural connection between sailors and the stars. Tales of ghostly constellations guiding lost souls home, celestial beings leading ships to forbidden waters, and maps not made by human hands. We'll talk of the ancient ones, those who claim to know the true nature of the heavens, and the myths of otherworldly navigators who left behind something far greater than mere legends. And what better way to start than with a tale, A story passed down from sailor to sailor, never written, only spoken. The tale of a ship that followed the wrong stars and found itself somewhere it never should have been. Let me take ye back to 1843 aboard the whaler Providence, a ship that set sail under familiar skies, but found its fate written in stars no man had ever seen before.
Providence was a sturdy ship, her men seasoned, her captain, Nathaniel Briggs, a man of reason. He had charted the Pacific's waters for near 20 years, never led astray by current nor storm. But reason failed him one fateful night, when the sky bled red and the stars rearranged themselves into patterns unknown.
Now every sailor be familiar with the ways of the night sky. They trust it like they trust the deck beneath their feet. But that night, the heavens turned on them. The men swore on their lives the stars moved. Not the ship, mind ye, but the sky itself. What once was Polaris guiding true north, now pointed west. Orion, gone. The Pleiades, stretched and twisted like some unseen hand had redrawn the cosmos. Then came the whisper. Low, guttural, rolling across the deck like a phantom tide. No tongue the men knew, no language spoken by mortal lips, just a feeling that curled in the gut, clawed at the mind. The sort of thing that makes a man forget how to pray. Captain Briggs, steady as he was, clutched the wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. Old course, he barked, but course to where? The stars had lied, or something had rewritten the heavens. The next morning, the crew woke to find Providence all but wrecked, leaning heavy on a reef that should have been 1,000 miles away. The charts made no sense, the sky made no sense, and the compass, well, the needle spun like a drunken dancer, refusing to point anywhere at all. Captain Briggs never spoke of that night again. Some say he burned his logbooks, refusing to let another man read the madness he scrawled. Others claim he spent his last years staring at the sky, waiting for the stars to shift once more. But ask any sailor worth his salt, and they'll tell ye, some maps ain't drawn by men, and some stars lead only to ruin. Now don't go drifting too far, me hearties. We got plenty more to uncover, and I promise this voyage be just getting started. But first, a word from those fine folk keeping our lanterns lit and our barrels full.
Lost at sea? Stars betraying ye? Compass giving up the ghost? Well, fear not, me buckos, for Blackwater Navigation Tools has ye covered. Whether ye be charting the high seas or just trying to find your way home after a long night at the tavern, our handcrafted sextants, compasses, and celestial charts will keep ye steady as the North Star. Our fine instruments be made with the finest brass and tempered glass, none of that flimsy cheap rubbish ye find in backwater ports. Trusted by captains, pirates, and maybe even the occasional ghost ship. Aye, when the night be dark and the way uncertain, trust Blackwater Navigation to get ye where ye need to go. Blackwater Navigation, because not all maps be made by man, but the best ones, well, we make 'em anyway.
And we be back, mates. Now that we've got our bearings and a proper compass to keep us straight, it's time we take a moment to dig into the heart of this mystery. Seafarers, star maps, and the supernatural. Strange bedfellows, eh? But not as strange as ye might think. Now, any sailor worth his salt will tell ye, navigation ain't just about charts and numbers. It's about instinct, about trusting what you know, but also knowing what you don't. For thousands of years, men have looked to the heavens for guidance. The Polynesians read the stars like a man reads a book, charting courses across the vast Pacific without so much as a spyglass. The Vikings, they had their sunstones, finding the path when the sky was thick with cloud. And the Templars, I know there's a tale. Some say they carried knowledge from far older civilizations. Star maps not drawn by mortal hands. But here, this is where it gets real interesting, me hearties. See, the ocean be a place of rules. Tides rise, tides fall. The stars should be fixed in their courses, eh? But what if they ain't? What if some nights they shift? What if some places on this vast, unknowable sea be crossroads, gates to places not marked on any map? I've spoken to sailors who swear they've seen constellations that don't exist. Bright stars flickering in formations that change while ye look at them. Others tell of nights where the sky itself looks deeper, like ye could fall into it if ye stared too long. And then there be them tales. Ships vanishing without a trace, only to reappear weeks or months later in waters they had no right being in. How, ye ask? Some say it's currents, others say it's madness. Me? I say not all maps are made of ink and parchment. Some maps, some paths, be written in the sky itself. Now ye might be thinking, Jeb, ye've been drinking too much of the rum. But I ask ye this, why do so many ancient sea charts mark places where no land exists? Why do some islands appear on old maps, then vanish from the new ones? Were they mistakes, or were they there once, and then not? It's a question I've pondered many a night at sea, watching the waves and wondering if the path ahead is real, or just what the stars want us to see. But enough of my rambling. I ain't the only one with thoughts on this mystery. I got a guest coming aboard who knows a thing or two about seafarers and the supernatural. So sharpen your ears and steady your minds, mates. Cause the next leg of this journey might just change the way ye look at the night sky forever.
We set our course by Orion's hand, but he led us to the devil's land. The North Star flickered, turned to red, and left us lost where angels dread. Oh, the stars they lied, they led us wrong. The waves did hum a ghostly song. The charts were false, the sky was fake, and now we drift, no dawn to break.
Sails we called the wind, but not replied, no breath came in. The compass spun, the hull did groan. The sea below was dark as stone.
Oh, the stars they lied, they led us wrong. The waves did hum a ghostly song. The charts were false, the sky was fake, and now we drift, no dawn to break.
From 'neath the tide, a sailor long since lost it cried. Turn back, for it's too late. The sea has writ your cursed fate.
Oh, the stars they lied, they led us wrong. The waves did hum a ghostly song. The charts were false, the sky was fake, and now we drift, no dawn to break.
No morning light, no eastern glow, just endless night and undertow. The stars above, they watch, they wait. The sea below decides our fate.
Special guest aboard, Dr. Nicholas Arden, historian, researcher of celestial navigation, ancient sea myths, and the supernatural ties between the heavens and the deep. Doctor, welcome to the deck.
Pleasure to be here, Captain. I have to say, your introduction set the perfect tone. Seafarers have always relied on the stars, but you're absolutely right. There are stories of celestial maps, even entire routes in the sky that seem to lead ships to places uncharted. These are tales that stretch across centuries and cultures.
Aye, now that's what we're after tonight. Most folk think of the stars as fixed, eternal, something reliable. But sailors, real sailors, no different. Ye ever heard the tale of the Aurora's Wake, Doctor?
I have indeed. That was the merchant vessel that claimed to have followed a shifting constellation to an island that, if I recall correctly, was never seen again.
Aye, ye got it right. 1822. The Aurora's Wake was charting a course through the South Pacific, following a well-worn trade route when her navigator, a man by the name of Elias Burke, swore the stars above had changed. Said there were new ones, bright as fireflies arranging themselves into a path he'd never seen before. He convinced the captain to follow him, claiming they were leading to an island rich with fresh water and provisions. And lo and behold, just before dawn, land appeared.
Fascinating. And yet no record of that island exists today, correct?
Correct. The Aurora's Wake anchored. The crew went ashore, found fruit, game, even ancient ruins. Stayed for 3 days. There's something about 3 days, I'll tell ye. Then come the fourth night, a storm rolled in, and when the clouds parted, the stars had shifted back. The captain tried to take his bearings, but nothing made sense. When they finally set sail and made it back to familiar waters, they tried to return, but the island was gone. No record of it before or since.
That's the kind of account that blurs the line between myth and reality, Captain. It brings to mind the stories of phantom islands, those that appear on old maps only to vanish later. Some claim it's human error, others say it shifts in oceanic geography. But there's something more, isn't there?
Aye, that there is. And it ain't just land that comes and goes. Ships, too. Ye ever look into the case of the Celestial Mariner?
Ah yes, the clipper that vanished in 1897, only to appear decades later.
That's the one. She set sail from Liverpool, bound for the Caribbean, but was lost in a storm. No survivors. But then, 37 years later, she was spotted adrift near the Azores. Her hull was covered in barnacles, her sails in tatters. But here's the thing, Doctor. Her logbook was intact, and the last entry was dated the very night she disappeared.
Now that is something remarkable. That aligns with the theory that some of these maritime anomalies might not just be about location, but about time itself. The idea that certain celestial alignments, certain star patterns might not just guide ships, but displace them entirely.
Now ye be speaking my language, Doctor. We know the sky be a map, but what if it ain't just a map of distance? What if some nights in some waters it maps time itself? Ye think there be any merit to the idea that the stars, certain alignments, could open something akin to a doorway?
Well, there's precedent. Cultures around the world speak of stargates, not just metaphorical passages to knowledge, but literal gateways between worlds. The Dogon people of Africa have myths about beings from Sirius guiding them across the cosmos. Polynesian wayfinders spoke of certain stars that sang to them, leading them beyond the known horizon. Even the ancient Greeks had tales of celestial highways used by the gods.
Aye, and let's not forget the Templars, sailing beyond the edge of the map. Some say with knowledge of the heavens that didn't come from this world. But tell me, Doctor, what do ye think? Are these just stories, or is there something more at play?
You want my honest answer, Captain?
Always.
I think that sailors, more than anyone, understand that reality isn't as fixed as we'd like to believe. The ocean is a place of shifting horizons, of illusions, of things seen in the corner of the eye that vanish when looked at directly. And if the sea itself can play tricks, why not the sky?
Well said, Doctor, well said. Now, before we dive into listener calls, we're going to take a short break. But don't ye go anywhere, mates. There's plenty more mystery on the horizon.
Ahoy there! Are ye tired of the same old landlubber's brew? Then hoist your spirits with Captain's Grasp Dark Rum, the finest blend to warm your bones on the coldest nights at sea. Smooth as a calm tide, yet bold as a storm, it's the choice of true seafarers everywhere. Available now. Just ask for the bottle with the tentacle on the label. Remember, mates, a drop of Kraken's Grasp and you'll never lose your way.
Aye.
Jeb, Doc, I seen something in 73 off of Bermuda. A set of 3 stars blinked out. Gone just like that. And when they came back, we were facing the wrong damn direction. Compass spun like a drunkard. And we damn near ran aground on a reef that wasn't on the charts. Captain thought it was a malfunction, but I tell ya, that wasn't no mechanical failure. It was something else.
I know that's a tale worth a full mug of grog. 3 stars vanishing? A ship facing the wrong way? Sounds a lot like what happened to the Providence in my opening tale. Dr. Arden, what say ye? Could stars blinking out be an illusion, or is there something more sinister at play?
Well, atmospheric conditions can cause something called scintillation, where stars appear to flicker or even vanish for a moment. But an entire ship changing orientation at the same time, that's another matter entirely. Old Tom, did anyone else on board witness this?
Every damn man on deck, Doc. Even the quartermaster, who never left his post, swore the ship spun right round like a child's toy. And the captain, he locked himself in his quarters, didn't speak for 3 days.
Aye, old Tom, I'd wager ye sailed through something best left unnamed. And the Bermuda Triangle ain't exactly known for letting go her secrets. Thank ye for sharing your tale. Right, let's bring on our next caller. Who do we have?
Hey, Jeb, Dr. Arden. I don't know if my story fits, but last summer I was taking a private yacht through the Aegean Sea, clear skies, stars out like diamonds. I know that part of the world like the back of my hand. But that night, my GPS showed we were near Crete, but my eyes told me something else.
Go on, Marie. What exactly did you see?
Land where there shouldn't have been any. A dark, mountainous shape. No lights, no settlements. I checked my charts. Nothing should have been there. I tried to steer away, but no matter which way I turned, the land stayed in front of us. My crew got spooked. Then, just as suddenly, it was gone. GPS never even registered a change.
Hey, Marie, that sounds like ye got a glimpse of something old. There be legends of lost lands, sunken cities, places that rise only when the stars align. Some call 'em mirages, but I call 'em echoes of the past. Dr. Arden, ye ever hear of navigators seeing islands that don't exist?
Absolutely. Phantom islands have been reported for centuries. Sometimes they appear on maps for decades before being removed. There's even speculation that some may be, well, not of this earth. The Greeks wrote about floating islands that could only be seen at certain times of the year. What Mary described, it lines up fairly well with those old accounts.
I don't know what we saw, but I don't think we were supposed to see it.
Aye, that be the feeling that lingers. Thank ye for sharing your tale, Marie. Now let's see who be calling next.
Captain Jeb, Dr. Arden, I hesitate to share this, but I feel compelled. In my younger days, I traveled with a missionary ship through the South Pacific. One night, deep in prayer, I saw the sky split, an opening in the heavens itself. And through it, figures. Great luminous figures, like men but impossibly tall, standing among the stars.
And did they speak, Father?
No words, but I felt them. A presence, watching, waiting. The others didn't see it, but I know what I witnessed. I've spent decades wondering. Were they angels or something else?
There are many accounts of celestial beings tied to the sea. Ancient sailors believed the gods watched over them from the stars, guiding or condemning them. But what you saw, Father, aligns with stories from multiple cultures. Some describe them as guardians, others as warnings.
Aye, and I reckon ye felt the truth in your bones, Father. Whether they be angels or something older, we best be heedful of such visions. Thank ye for sharing that with us.
Jeb, Doc, something happened just last week. I was out on the Gulf late night fishing. Water was still, no wind, and out of nowhere, this glow rose up from the sea. Greenish, like an aurora, but it wasn't in the sky. It was beneath the water. And the stars, they shifted. I swear to you, they moved.
Bioluminescence can explain the glow, but the stars moving? That's harder to rationalize. Were they physically shifting, or did it feel more like an illusion?
It wasn't an illusion. They twisted, reformed. And then there was a sound, a deep rumbling hum, like the ocean itself was singing. I got the hell out of there.
Aye, lad, I'd have done the same. There be things beneath the waves older than time itself, and sometimes they arise. Thank ye for sharing, Danny. Now let's take one last caller before we close this night's voyage.
Jeb, I lost my husband to the sea 40 years ago. But some nights I walk the shore and look up at the stars, and I swear I see a ship. Not in the ocean, but in the sky. A ghostly silhouette against the heavens, sails full of stardust.
Aye, Widow Marie, sometimes the sea don't take 'em all the way. Sometimes they find their way home in the stars.
There's an old belief, Marie, that the souls of the sailors become part of the constellations, but they guide those still at sea. Maybe your husband is watching over you after all.
A fine way to end this round of call-ins. Thank ye, Marie, and tell all who braved the unknown to share your tales. The sea keeps her secrets, but now and then she lets a few slip through the cracks, and we be lucky enough to hear 'em. But the night ain't over yet, mates. Pour yourselves another drink, find a steady perch, and let the music carry ye across the waves. From the depths of mystery to the rhythm of the sea, here be a tune from the Bloody Gull boys, one to keep your lanterns lit and your spirits high.
Through the mist, a shadow glides, a leviathan stirs beneath the tides. These sprites whisper in the midnight breeze, telling tales of the haunted seas. A lantern lights from a ship unknown. Is it man or is it from worlds not shown? The ocean secrets, they pull us near. With every wave we feel the fear. Oh, the mysteries of the seven seas, where monsters roam and sailors freeze. Mermaids sing their siren song, UFOs in the skies where they don't belong. The ocean's deep, the stars above, a realm of terror, a world to love. Kraken's tentacles rise and fall, dragging ships to Neptune's hall. Mermaids beckon with eyes so bright, but their kisses curse under moonlit light. Through the storm, a beacon glows from a craft that no sailor knows. Is it gods or creatures of distant space, mapping the ocean's uncharted face? Oh, the mysteries of the seven seas, where monsters roam and sailors freeze. Mermaids sing their siren song, UFOs in the skies where they don't belong. The ocean's deep, the stars above, a realm of terror, a world to love. The sea sprites dance in the twilight mist, with laughter light and lips unkissed. They guide us to treasures or lead us astray, and laugh as we're lost by the break of day. Beneath the waves, the darkness stirs, a heartbeat felt in the ocean's purrs. Oh, of the seven seas, where monsters roam and sailors freeze. Mermaids sing their siren song, UFOs in the skies where they don't belong. The ocean's deep, the stars above, a realm of terror, a world to love. Raise your glass to the unknown, to seas we've sailed, to legends grown. Captain Jeb and his Bloody Gull crew, who sing to the sea and it sings to you. Through monsters, mermaids, and lights that gleam, we chase the truth in this sailor's dream.
Now then, mates, we've heard from the brave souls who dared call in, but there be others who've sent their tales by ink and parchment. Tales of the sea, the stars, and things that don't fit within the maps of men. Let's see what's washed ashore, eh? Captain Jeb. My father, Jeremiah Talbot, was a whaler out of New Bedford. A hard man, the kind who could tell a storm was coming just by the way his pipe burned. Sounds like he's my kind of sailor. But there was one thing he never spoke of until his final days. One night, somewhere off the coast of Greenland, when the stars led him astray. Aye, now that be the thing about old sailors. They don't talk about what don't make sense till the grave comes knocking. I knew a deckhand once, an old salt named Benny Crableg Foster. Fella lost his leg to a Portuguese man-o'-war sting. I believe it or not. But the real sting was what he saw one night in the South Atlantic. Something like what Edgar here be describing. But let's get back to the tale, shall we? He told me he saw a cluster of stars burning bright green. Stars that weren't there the night before. He was certain they'd lead him through the ice safely, so he turned the ship toward them. The men trusted him, and for hours they followed that glow. But come morning, the sea was different. The ice floes were gone, the air warm, and the sky empty. No land, no familiar waters. Just a stretch of ocean that didn't match a single chart he'd ever seen. Now that be something. A seasoned whaler, knowing them waters like the back of his own callous hand, suddenly finding himself adrift in a place that don't belong. That don't sit right. Either he sailed into another world, or something led him there on purpose. They spent 3 days trying to get their bearings before the stars came back. This time, the real stars. When they followed them home, they found themselves 200 miles from where they should have been. The men begged my grandfather never to speak of it, and he didn't. Not until he lay dying, hands gripped tight like he was still holding the wheel. That be the thing about the sea, lads and lasses. It don't just hold your body, it holds your mind. And sometimes it takes a piece of it with ye. Captain Jeb. I grew up hearing stories of my great uncle, a navigator for a merchant vessel in the 1920s. He once told my father about a night when the sky changed. Not in a storm, but in something stranger. He was charting a course by the Southern Cross when, just past midnight, the stars above the bow dimmed, and new ones appeared in their place. These weren't constellations, he knew. Just bright, pulsing points in the sky, moving ever so slightly. Now, I don't know about ye, but if the stars up and decided to rearrange themselves above me, I'd be checking what's in me rum. He stared at them for nearly an hour before realizing the ship was off course. Not by a little, but by a whole degree. It was as if something was pulling them, nudging them ever so gently away from their intended path. When dawn came, the sky was back to normal, but the ship, it was 50 miles off course, and none of the instruments had recorded a change. Aye, that ain't the first time I've heard such a thing. The seas, she plays tricks, but the sky ain't supposed to. Captain Jeb, I am writing to tell you of something passed down through my family. A tale of the North Sea, told by my great-grandfather. In 1891, his fishing trawler was caught in a thick fog. The crew, wary of reefs, dropped anchor and waited for it to clear. But when it did, the sky above was wrong. The stars spun, moving like water ripples, shifting into shapes none of them recognized. Spinning stars. Now that be something I don't like the sound of. Then a great light, white as the moon, split the sky. It hovered above the water, humming like a choir, and in its glow, the men swore they saw another ship. A ship riding in the waves, but with sails like glass and a hull that shimmered like the night itself. The A ship made of starlight, eh? Elias, that'd be a sight. But I wouldn't give to see such a thing, though. I ain't sure I'd want to get too close. Some things ain't meant for our world, and maybe, just maybe, we ain't meant for theirs. Well, now that'd be enough to keep a man looking skyward a little longer, eh? We've read the stars, we've heard their whispers, and still, the sea don't give up her secrets so easy. But we ain't done yet, mates. Next, we set our sights on the history, science, and lore that bind the heavens to the waves. So stay with me and keep your eyes on the horizon, the species of mystery, and we ain't drifting just yet.
Ahoy there, looking to set sail in style? Or mayhap ye need a new tricorn hat to impress the local tavern wenches? Well, look no further than Salty Sam's Seafarer Emporium. We got cutlasses sharp enough to shave a sea dog's whiskers, maps to treasures probably not cursed, and the finest rum this side of Tortuga. So drop anchor at Salty Sam's, where the deals be as deep as the sea.
We've heard the tales, felt the chill of something beyond our understanding, but now we look to the past, the science, the reckoning of men who've tried to make sense of it all. And for that, I got Dr. Nicholas Hardin still with me, a man with a mind as sharp as a cutlass and a knowledge as deep as the Marianas.
Well, I'll certainly take that as a compliment, Captain Jeb. And you're right, these stories aren't just old sailors' yarns. They're historical records, scientific anomalies, and yes, even theories that stretch beyond what conventional history would have us believe.
So, Doc, let's start with the stars themselves. We know sailors have been reading them since the first man put his toe in the tide. But just how far back do them star maps go?
Some of the earliest recorded star charts date back over 3,500 years to the Babylonians, who meticulously tracked celestial movements. The Greeks refined those charts, and of course, the Polynesians were master navigators, using the stars in a way that still confounds modern scientists. They traveled thousands of miles across open ocean, guided only by the night sky, ocean swells, and subtle changes in wind patterns.
Aye, the Polynesians. They didn't just read the stars, they felt the sea beneath them. They knew when something was off, like when a current changed before a storm even thought about showing up. But then there's the maps that don't quite fit history's telling, eh?
Precisely. The Peri-Reis map drawn in 1513, allegedly based on much older sources, shows parts of Antarctica free of ice, something modern science says shouldn't be possible given our understanding of when that land was last ice-free. Some speculate that these maps were based on knowledge from civilizations far older than we realize, or perhaps knowledge that came from elsewhere.
And that brings us to the big question. What if some of them odd things seen at sea ain't just tricks of the mind, but something real? We got stories of stars blinking out, constellations changing, ships finding themselves where they don't belong. What's the science say about that, Doctor?
Well, some of those anomalies could be explained by gravitational lensing, when a massive celestial object like a rogue planet or black hole bends light around it. It could make stars temporarily disappear or even appear in places they shouldn't be.
Aye, but that don't explain the feeling of being pulled, of compasses spinning, of men waking up in waters they've never seen before.
True. That's where things get more speculative. Some theorists believe that there could be temporary spatial distortions, places where gravity behaves differently or where unknown forces affect navigation. Some of these ideas align with quantum physics, particularly the notion that space-time itself can ripple and shift under certain conditions.
And then there's the wilder ideas, the kind that make a man grip his bottle a little tighter when he's staring out over the rail.
You mean the ones that would get us laughed out of a university conference? Yes, let's get into it.
Hey, there's plenty who think them stars ain't just lights in the sky. They're waypoints, gates, roads to somewhere else. And if that be true, then maybe them old sailors weren't just getting lost. Maybe they were getting taken.
It's not entirely ridiculous. Many ancient cultures, Sumerians, Egyptians, even the Norse, spoke of gods or beings that came from the sky and imparted knowledge. Some theorists argue that advanced civilizations, possibly even extraterrestrial in nature, could have interacted with early seafarers, teaching them things that were lost over time. Could the stars themselves be markers, coordinates left behind? It's an idea some take seriously.
Aye, and let's not forget them accounts of ships disappearing outright. No storm, no wreckage, just gone. Some say they get pulled into another place, another time.
It aligns with the idea of time slips, temporary disruptions in our perception of reality, which have been reported not just at sea but on land as well. Places where time doesn't move as it should.
Aye, so be it gravity, old maps, or something out of this earth. The truth is clear. There be mysteries out there we ain't got the words for yet. Well now, mates, let that settle in your bones while we take a short break. Think on it. What if the stars ain't just showing the way, but calling us towards something? We'll be back after a word from our sponsors, so stay put. Keep your compass true, and don't let the sea take ye just yet.
Are ye tired of losing your way at sea? Sick of them confounded stars disappearing just when ye need 'em most? Then ye need McTavish's miraculous magnetic compass. Tested on the high seas and guaranteed to point ye true. Or your doubloons back. Now available at all reputable maritime supply shops or from a shady fella down at the docks. Don't set sail without McTavish's. Arr!
And we be back, mates. If he made it through that without buying a suspiciously cheap compass, then you're wiser than most. Now don't be going anywhere. We got one last round of stories before we weigh anchor for the night.
The stars have been the sailor's guide since the first man carved a raft and dared to drift beyond sight of land. We trust them, same as we trust the wind and the tide. But what happens when the stars fail you? When the very heavens above betray man's trust? Let me tell ye, mates, of a night when the sky itself turned against a ship and her crew.
Aye, I heard this tale from a man who wouldn't speak of it till he was old and near to death. Captain Alistair Vane of the Cressida, a merchant brig running routes across the Atlantic in the late 1700s. Vane was a man of discipline, a captain who never put stock in sea myths or old wives' tales. But there was one night, one cursed night, when even he had to admit there were horses at work that no compass nor sextant could explain.
The Cressida was sailing smooth under a clear sky, just a sliver of a moon hanging above, stars bright as a jeweler's hoard. But then, one by one, the stars winked out, not like a cloud rolling in, not like a trick of the eye. No, mates, they vanished, snuffed out like candles.
First the men laughed, calling it some strange fog or a trick of the night. But then the lookout shouted, said the North Star was gone. The Big Dipper? Gone. The whole sky, bit by bit, going dark, like some invisible hand was pulling a curtain over creation itself.
A sailor without the stars is a blind man without a cane. The Cressida's crew panicked. Some swore they heard voices in the dark, whispers riding the still air, speaking in tongues no man aboard could place. Vane tried to keep order, claiming it was nothing but an odd weather event. Then the compasses spun wild, the needles dancing like drunkards.
And then the sea stopped moving.
The ocean went still, not calm, not peaceful, dead. Like the ship was frozen in a block of invisible ice. No wind touched the sails, no current stirred beneath the hull. And then, the worst of it.
Something knocked.
Once, twice, 3 times, steady, loud, like the sound of a fist against wood. But mates, ye tell me, what down there has a fist to knock with?
Vane ordered the men to light lanterns to scan the water. Nothing but blackness stretching out forever. Then the helmsman, poor bastard, turned to speak, and his face had changed.
Not in a way a man's face should change. His eyes, they said, weren't eyes no more, but mirrors. Deep black mirrors reflected not the men around him, but the stars that had gone missing from the sky.
The helmsman opened his mouth like he meant to speak, but the sound that came out weren't no human voice. It was the sea, mates, the roar of waves, the howl of a storm, the distant cry of lost sailors, and just like that,
the wind returned, howling like a banshee. The sea surged, rocking the Cressida near to capsizing, and above, the stars flickered back, one by one, like nothing had ever happened. The helmsman blinked, his eyes normal again, his voice his own, but the feeling that never left.
Vane never spoke of that night again. The Cressida finished her voyage, but the men who were aboard that night, they never sailed again. Some took to land, some took to drink, and the helmsman, he went quiet, spent his days staring at the sky like he was waiting for something to blink back out again.
So ye see, mates, the stars may guide us, but they don't belong to us. And sometimes, just sometimes, they take notice.
Now I ain't saying this tale's true, but if ye ever find yourself beneath a sky that's suddenly gone dark, if the sea stills beneath your keel and the wind refuses to breathe, well, maybe ye best not be looking up for answers. Maybe ye best be looking down.
Oh, gather close and heed me well. A tale of dread I've got to tell. A night when time itself stood still, and the sea grew cold and cruel. The night the stars went dark, me boys, the wind it ceased, the waves stood still, no moon to mark the endless void, and death lay thick upon the chill. We set our course with compass true, but shadows rose and blotted blue. No north, no south, no guiding hand, just black above and black as sand. The night the stars went dark, me boys, the wind it ceased, the waves stood still, no moon to mark the endless void, and death lay thick upon the chill. The captain cried, light the lamp, but flame it faltered weak and damp. A whisper crawled across the deck, a voice from deep, a hand on neck. The mast did groan, the hull did moan, a wretched sound like splitting bone. A shadow rose from depths unseen, a thing that walked where none had been. The night the stars went dark, me boys, the wind it ceased, the waves stood still, no moon to mark the endless void, and death lay thick upon the chill. At dawn the sky returned to blue, but some were gone and none knew who. No trace, no track, no sign at all, just names now lost beyond the squall. The night the stars went dark, me boys, the sea was still, the air was thin, and some who sailed that ghostly void were never seen
Aye, mates, we've spun our compasses round the heavens tonight. We've heard the tales, weighed the reckoning, and what stands true. That sailors, be they ancient navigators, modern mariners, or lonely fools on the midnight tide, have always sought answers in the stars. And maybe, just maybe, sometimes the stars be looking back. All right, mates, we've got one last letter from Captain Eli in Nova Scotia. Let's see what Eli has to share. Captain Jeb, I be writing to you from the shores of Nova Scotia, where the sea's mist rolls in thick as old secrets. My great-grandfather was a fisherman, a hard man who feared nothing, save for one thing. He told me once, when I was but a lad, that there were places in the ocean where the stars led you astray, that if you followed the wrong ones, you'd find yourself somewhere else. He said one night, under a sky brighter than he'd ever seen, his compass spun in circles, and his crew swore they heard whispering on the wind. The next morning they were nearly 100 nautical miles off course, in waters they had no business being in. He never sailed again after that. Said he'd already seen the edge of the map and didn't care to see what lay beyond it. So tell me, Jeb, what's at the end of the stars? What's at the end of the stars, eh? Maybe just more sea. Maybe something else. But I'll tell ye this. If there's a map to get there, I reckon we'd best be careful who we let chart the course. Oh, sounds like we've got one more caller. Maggie, the mariner, welcome to See Some Mystery.
Jeb, Dr. Arden, y'all ever heard of the phantom lights of the Pacific? My crew saw them back in '09, out past the Philippines. 3 lights moving against the stars, vanishing and reappearing. No aircraft, no satellites, and too big to be a ship. And then all of a sudden, every instrument aboard reset like we'd just powered up from nothing. GPS had us somewhere we hadn't been in hours. Ain't that something?
Aye, lass. That's definitely something. Be it a trick of the light or something more sinister. When the sea and the sky start making their own rules, best to keep a steady hand on the wheel. Dr. Arden, ye got a scientific guess, or we chalking this up to things best left unexplained?
Well, I'd hesitate to call it supernatural, but electrical anomalies, especially in high-charged areas of the atmosphere, have been known to disrupt navigational systems. That said, 3 independent lights moving in sync, that's an open-ended question.
Aye, and I do love an open-ended question. Thanks for that one, Maggie. Keep an eye on them stars, but don't let them lead ye astray. Whoa, looks like we got another call. Johnny from Galveston. Welcome aboard, mate.
Jeb, Dr. Harden? All right. Y'all are gonna think I'm nuts, but I swear I just saw something weird last summer. I was out on my uncle's boat, just a short fishing trip off the Gulf. Clear night, no storms, calm as can be. But then the waves just stopped. I mean dead still, not a ripple. And the sky, I swear the stars got closer like they were sinking down toward the sea. I blinked and everything was normal again, but I've never forgotten it. What the hell did I see?
What ye saw, lad, was a glimpse of something men ain't meant to understand. The sea's got moods, and sometimes she decides to show ye something, just to see if ye can handle it. And if ye can't, well, she's got a way of taking her secrets back.
It's a compelling description, Johnny. Atmospheric distortions can create visual illusions, but the stillness of the water, that's harder to explain. I'd love to look at any maritime records from that night to see if others experienced something similar.
Hey, and if you find something, Doc, bring it back to the deck. Thanks for sharing that one, Johnny. And if the stars start coming down again, do me a favor, duck. And that mates be where we drop anchor for the night. We've stared into the heavens, we've heard the voices of them who sail beneath it, and we've spun more yarns than an old salt with a belly full of rum. But this be only the beginning. Next time we sail into legend, the tale of the Mary Celeste, a ship that sailed herself, her crew vanished without a trace. Was it mutiny, the sea's cruel hand, or something beyond reason? We'll dive deep into the mystery, cut through the myths, and see if we can piece together the fate of the most famous ghost ship in history. Ye won't want to miss it. So keep your lanterns lit, mates. Keep a weather eye on them stars, for they've guided many a sailor home. But they've led just as many astray. The ocean is a trickster, a mistress of mystery, sometimes kind, sometimes cruel, always watching. And them stars above, they be more than just pinpricks in the night. Some say they be the spirits of sailors lost, calling out, whispering through the tides, trying to finish a voyage that ended too soon. So next time ye find yourself standing at the helm, the world falling away into endless dark, and the sky full of lights you don't quite recognize, ask yourself this: are ye the one navigating, or are ye the one being led? And if ye be following, best hope to be taking ye somewhere ye want to go.